Hello, this is Lisa Russick and Misty Lore at the podcast We're All Psychic. And we have Gandalf too. Gandalf is
Gandalf?
our guest, and he is my little
Yes.
spirit cat. And you know what, Misty? I forgot to
What?
ask you. Do you think we're all psychic still?
Yes, but I was going to ask Gandalf what he thought.
Gandalf, Misty wants to ask you a question.
Gandalf, do you think we're all psychic? Can I get a Okay, that's good enough. I got a stare.
He gave you of course we are stare.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
listeners, Misty and I were talking and we realized we had, if you've watched the Runes podcast or listened to it, according to the Runes, you guys wanted to hear a spirit guide content or podcast. And I thought we had done one, but no, we've done spirit animals and we have done spirits. So now today we're going to talk about spirit guides, my favorite subject. I can't believe we don't have a podcast on this.
I can't believe it either. I know we've talked about it, but we haven't just done a podcast about it.
Yeah. So listeners, if you don't know what a spirit guide is, it's a spirit who at birth or before birth decides that they will help you, and can be able to have tons of spirit guides. They can pop in and out of your life. But mostly there's ones that stay with you from birth until after birth, death. I mean, after birth and after death, all through your lives.
Yeah.
And they can be ancestors. They can be saints. They can be deities. They can be your, like in my case, my spirit guide Sam appeared to me when I was beginning to write my second book. I was trying to think up a plot. And then I had this image of him and I have it cemented in my brain now. I just saw him in a cabin looking up at me, smiling. And in that book, there's a lot of cabins after that vision. And I fell in love with him. I fell in love with this character. And he was so real to me. I mean, he talked to me. I mean, it wasn't like an imaginary, like most of the time when I wrote, this is a person. And I was like, I have to find him. I love him.
Yes.
And then I met a real human and I was like, well, I think he's just not real. So I think Sam isn't real now. I think I'm going to try dating. I'm going to let go of Sam. It'd been about 1.5 years. And I was like, I'm going to deal with my crazy. This is my crazy. And, dated and, fell in love with real people. And Sam was still there. Real people. And then Sam was still there. And then when I moved to Phoenix, I got on the internet and found the term spirit guide. And I figured out that's what Sam was. The book I had written was called Sam the Night Person by Lisa Russick. And I wrote it at 24. And all I did the whole time I wrote that book was daydream about Sam and having conversations with him. And he would tell me all this stuff that I wanted to hear. And he loved me so much. But then when I finally could say, are you a spirit guide? Are you a spirit guide? It was like, yeah, I just knew he was, and I didn't really understand it. I didn't really understand anything then. I was just like, I like that he's a thing. He's not just part of my imagination. I realized it. And over the years, as I worked with mediumship and with Sam, it's gotten so clear comparatively to when I first began communicating with Sam, because I couldn't really understand, or my mind told me I couldn't get the information, or this still isn't real. I had a lot of blocks. And working with it for, now I'm 46. So this is 22 years. I have a real clear communication with him. But that didn't really start getting as clear until Morgana passed away, my cat Morgana. And I do have Morgana's story podcast. And I think I talked about her in the Spirit Animals podcast. Morgana passed away, and then she came around as a spirit guide. And she first started with helping me do pet readings. And communicating with Morgana was easier for me than with Sam. And then eventually they both became just as easy to communicate with really quickly.
Yeah, they did kind of start working together, didn't they?
They do. They work. They go back and forth. I'll be doing readings, listeners. When I do readings as an advisor on Everclear or locally, I will usually have my cards out, and if I don't have an answer that someone's asking, I'll ask Sam or Morgana. And sometimes another couple of cats of mine who have passed away will come around and help out, Aria and Roxy. And
I talked to Sam too.
Yeah, Sam.
I ask Sam questions through Lisa. So I feel like I have kind of a bond with Sam now because I'm, friends with you, and, Yeah,
Sam
it's kind of
loves you.
cool.
Sam loves
Sam's cool.
everybody. He pops in on other people too. He popped in on Melanie. He's popped in on April. He's April's Reiki guide. And
Hmm.
other people who have seen him who also communicate with spirits see him exactly how I see him. Hair,
Yeah.
eyes. He has dark hair about down to his shoulders. He has big brown eyes, his like olive colored skin, thick eyebrows, and he has a little freckle right here. Now April sees freckles all around, but I just see like a like freckle, like couple up in
Does he have
here.
like a mustache or a beard?
I never see him.
No
I see him like
curly
completely
hair.
smooth. No, he's like a Native American, like completely smooth. And
Hmm.
although for you he might put on a beard and mustache, although we do know somebody with listeners. Now we'll talk about Misty and her spirit
Mm.
guide. We went to
Hmm.
Nashville. If you've been listening to the podcast, we had a nice time in December. And when we were in the hotel room, Misty says, "You think we can try to find one of my spirit guides?" You want to tell the story, Misty?
Sure. Um, I've always believed in spirit guides, but I kind of I couldn't communicate with mine or find out who he is. And Lisa found him. And the funny thing about it
With
was, he
Sam's
said,
help. That's
and it always starts with Sam. Um, like it's so funny because he said, I used to visit you like in cartoons when you were little. And I remember like seeing this long red haired like caveman kind of guy, going around. And I have to say, I've always had an obsession with long red hair. I don't know why, but I've been obsessed with it. And when she told me what he looked like, I was like, well, wow, that makes sense because I've always envisioned that in my head. It was crazy. And then she started asking him questions, and I would ask him questions in my mind, and I would answer it before Lisa would even have a chance to answer it for me through him. And so that's when I knew. I was like, well, wow, this really is, there's something there, and so I kind of opened that up, and then I started having more conversations with him. And I'm still trying to build that relationship, because it's hard. It doesn't happen overnight. Um, but now I think it's fun. It's a
It
lot
is
of fun.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
His name. Do you want to tell him the listeners his
Oh
name?
yeah, his name. I had to name him Axel. Because I have been obsessed with Axl Rose since I was a child. So yeah, I had to name him Axel, and he liked it. So I was like, well, okay.
Yeah, he did. So yeah, that's listeners. Sam had explained to me most spirit guides like to be named. Before I knew he was a spirit guide, I had a dream about him and this very vivid, real vision dream. And I don't usually have these. I usually just have, the weird dreams that we got to figure out. But I was in the desert. This is when I lived in Alabama before I moved to Phoenix. And I was in the desert and Sam was walking toward me. And he walked like way through the desert, like I was up on a kind of a plateau. And he came and sat next to me on this rock on the plateau. And it was this very strange feeling to the dream. And I was like, "Are you Sam?" And he said, I've gone by many names. And that's really much all I remember. But it was the feeling of the dream more than anything. Like it was like it was like something letting me know, when I was young, later on, look back at this dream, make more sense. And then later on,
Right.
he did explain they like to be named. They like us to pick their names. That's why he's gone by many names.
Yeah.
Um,
Because it's not
so
as
right.
important to them. They don't have like names. Like we have to, in our minds, we have to give it a name for it to
Name.
be something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think on the other side, you don't have to give anybody a name, but if they like it, then have fun with it.
Right. Now I also have one other spirit guide who's around. His name is Nathaniel. He has orange hair. He looks kind of like how the singer of the Flaming Lips looked in the Vaseline video.
Yeah.
Blue eyes though. And he wears a cape and he's just troublemaker. He, as a friend of mine says, he has trickster energy. Like, what's his purpose? And my other guides kind of joke about him, like, roll their eyes at him. You know,
Yeah.
um, he's kind of silly and he is a prankster. I don't really deal with him much. He's the one time he expressed to me what he wanted to help me with. He's very dramatic, listeners. And I said, well, what do you want to help me with? And he got in my face with his fist like up by his face, and he's like, I want to teach you power. And I'm like, I don't want a power. What the hell, Nathaniel? No, I
Yeah.
don't think I would play with you anymore. He's really theatrical.
Yeah.
He just kind of popped up sometime around 2014 or 2013.
Really?
Yeah, he just kind of popped up. And
So he just one day popped up.
well, yeah, pretty much. He popped up in a dream, and then I looked for him and he came. So in the dream, I had the first time I met Nathaniel, I was going through a cave tunnel like fallout shelter thing. And I came across him making out with a girl on the ground, and it was all wet and gross. And I was like,
Eh,
"Hey, what are you guys doing?" And he looked up, and that's when I remembered. That's when I realized this was not a normal dream, and I knew who he was. And when I woke up, I was like, let's see who this guy is, and talk to him. And he's cool, I guess. I mean, he has a
yeah.
purpose. He does some good things, but
Yeah.
he's not Sam. I mean, he's easy to access as Sam, and Sam's laid back. So listeners, like if you work with your spirit guides, maybe you relate to this podcast in your own way. And I'd love to hear anyone's points of view with their experiences with spirit guides.
Oh
So,
yeah.
or if you don't know about spirit guides, or if you would like to find your spirit guide, you can always ask any kind of medium to help you out with that. But you can find them yourselves too.
You sure can.
And one thing that Misty says that really stands out is that she's always been drawn to long red hair. Well, I was always drawn to big brown eyes, and Sam has the big brown eyes, exactly the kind of big brown eyes that I've always been attracted to. Just
Yeah.
not like I want to marry those eyes. It's just like they're beautiful to me.
Right.
And
From like, wow, that's you're just attracted to it.
yeah, and his are very warm, and there's a lot of depth to them. And so, listeners, if you have like another time, there was a girl named Erin, and I helped her find a spirit guide. And this one was a lumberjack. And I was like, I don't know why, but this is a lumberjack. Does that make sense to you? She said, I've always been drawn to big lumberjack men all my
Yeah.
life. I've always been fascinated. So, so
Yeah.
usually your spirit guide will be something you're familiar with in some way throughout all your life.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many
Something
meditation
comfortable.
techniques. Yeah, there are a lot of meditation techniques you can do, probably like your power animal or your spirit animal meditation. You could do that with a spirit guide.
And
Um,
I think the easiest way to do it, really, or at least for me, is before I go to sleep at night, I will ask them, hey, do you mind trying to communicate with me in my dreams tonight? Or,
Absolutely.
I think for me that's the easiest because I'm saying it, I'm throwing it out there, and then I'm going to sleep.
Right,
And then I'll
right,
see what happens.
right. That does happen. It does work. And especially for you,
Yeah, it
because you get the
does.
dreams. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Misty, do you have any advice for the listeners other than that's where do you want to tell of any experiences you've had with Axel or any other kind of spirits that you have been guided by?
Well, I think with Axel, it is kind of fairly new with me, and which is okay. But I do feel this sense of comfort when I know. Like I remember you told me, all you have to do is think of them, and they're there.
Yes, when
You
you
know,
think of them, they're there.
yeah, and
Yes,
so I really took that to heart, and like I can feel him now. Like
I
I'm
can
getting all
too.
hot.
Yeah, I can feel them too.
That red
Yeah.
hair is flaming. But I think that's true. Wherever you think they are, that there they are. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Just try to start like a conversation, like in your head with them. Not a crazy conversation, but just kind of open up to it and see what happens. I
Yeah,
think. What do you
and
think?
I totally like that idea. And also, for me, I don't see them with my eyeballs. They're in my mind's eye. And they can be standing in the middle of objects, like standing through a couch or, standing through a kitchen counter. They can be floating. Most of the time, they're like a person. They're like Sam will be sitting on the couch. He's for my readings in my workroom, he usually stands to my right, and Morgana sits on the ottoman where I do my cards. And sometimes Sam will step out in the front of my ottoman, like step out from the side into the front and be like, okay, let me handle this. I'll handle this if you want. He's not
So
like,
gentle.
he's like, and he comes out forward and Morgana's right in front of him.
Yeah,
Um,
but it's still in your head though,
it's in
right?
my
I mean,
head. So
usually
as
in your mind.
Yeah. And so what I was going to say to the listeners is if you feel like your guide is in a certain space around you, look there and you may see a distortion in the space. Like Misty, I saw you looking off to your right, I think. I can't tell because we're mirrored, but you looked that way. And when you
Yeah.
were talking about Axel, and I was wondering if you were seeing him there or, imagining or feeling
No,
him there.
it was a strong feeling, like a knowing.
Yeah. So, listeners, if you have that knowing or feeling that the guide is over there, look at the space and just like kind of like look through it, and you'll see a distortion in the little. Okay. I don't know about everybody else, but my eyes, when I look at stuff like a blank white wall, I see a bunch of like speckles and imagery from other stuff I just looked at on the wall. You know how you get the different
Yes.
colors, but there's
Yeah.
also like all those little dots, they're like more dense where the spirit is in the air. If that makes sense to you listeners,
No,
try
it
it and
does.
maybe it will.
No, I think I know what you're talking about. Like, I remember as a child, like seeing, like it's hard. It is hard to explain, but it's kind of like specks of light dust,
Yes.
I
Yes.
guess.
Yeah, like that. It's almost as though the specks that you just see against white are are just like, say, molecules. And then
Yeah.
when a spirit
Yeah.
gets together, like the molecules all kind of congregate where the
Right.
spirit is, and they kind of move around in the
Yeah.
denser, and you can see it. You can see the distortion. Especially, it's really easy with Morgana because she's on the floor a lot of the time, and you can see the distortion. It's cool.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
is cool, and the funny thing about that is, I when I was little, I would see that more. And then
Yeah.
as I grown to be a big girl now, um, I have to really concentrate, to see it. But I do remember when I was little, when I would see it, I would be like, I know what that is.
Yeah.
I would call them the angels because that was the only thing I could, in my mind, comprehend
Yeah.
at that
You didn't
age.
know
But
about spirit guides.
no, and I didn't know what they were, so they were angels to me, little angels all around. And I used to tell my mom that, and she'd be like looking around like, "What the heck?" But yeah. And it's so funny. As a child, I knew what it was, but as an adult, I have to second guess myself,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and that's what makes it harder.
It does make it harder. I second guess myself still to this day. I mean, I'm like, I
Yeah,
think he's saying, I think that she's saying. And then
yeah.
sometimes it's clear as day. But
And also, too, though, I was thinking, if you want to communicate with your spirit guide, also, these things that we said are awesome, but how about like use your tarot cards to do it, or
yeah,
use any kind of divination tool to do it? There's so
yeah,
many apps.
pendulum. And you
Use
can
them.
meditate. You can meditate too and get
Yeah.
in touch with like the quiet in your mind and let the thoughts run, and then you'll hear like different thoughts. And when it's your spirit guide, you'll know. You get that, like I've talked
Yes.
about this with the mediumship, you'll get that trivia question right feeling in your heart when you know it's them and what they're saying. So what are the benefits? Like spirit guides, from what I know and what Sam's told me, they're here to help us through our spiritual progress. And a lot of our spiritual progress is living life and the hard and good of it. So, and
And
what we
learning.
do and how we react and how we process it and what we do with it in the future. And that's what the
Yes.
guides help us. They help us heal. They help us move on. They help us build. They help us stop when we need to stop, and they keep us out of harm's way sometimes. You ever had
Yes.
like you've been almost in an accident and there's no way you should have missed that. You should have had that horrible car accident on the highway. Spirit
Right.
guide or angel,
Yeah.
they protect us um,
Yes.
against our own, weaknesses and other people's mistakes.
Well, and
And
like I said to you, that voice in your head, is it really just you? Or
yeah,
by telling you, no, 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 or give me 5 more minutes, or dang, I can't find my keys.
that
Oh wait. you know, and then
That's a
there's an
big one.
accident.
They'll put
Yeah,
your stuff somewhere so you'll miss an accident by 5 minutes or
right,
something, you know?
right. And I
Yeah.
mean, I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me, and every
Yeah.
single time it's happened, I'm like, "Thank you." You know, it's
Yeah. Thank
thank you,
you.
thank you, thank you. I will
Gratitude
never
for
do
the spirit
that
guides.
again, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
right. But anyway.
and a benefit of being aware of your spirit guides and working with them is that they can help you like understand yourself. They can help you make decisions. They can help you help other people. And they're
Mhm.
really just there for you and to teach you and to that's what Sam is for me. He told me right away, I'm a teacher spirit guide. When I finally could talk to him and say, "You're a guide," he said, I will teach you. And would always make me learn the lessons my way. You know, he would guide me, but when it came down to decision making or what's going to happen, he wouldn't tell me. He wanted me to
Yeah, and he's not
live it.
supposed to, I think. Right,
I
because,
don't know. I don't know if there's laws or anything, but that's just how he does it, you know?
yeah.
Um,
Well,
but
I really do think there's things that we're not supposed to know and that we have to, work on
yeah.
ourselves. We have to actually experience it. It's part of our living, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. We have to experience it without knowing
Yeah.
sometimes what's coming.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
any
Or
homework
what
for the
time would it be?
listeners? Any homework for the listeners?
Oh, well,
Misty?
I think we're giving them a lot of homework.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
give them homework.
use your tools, use your mind. Your mind is the easiest one to use, but like I said,
Imagination.
second guessing, use your tools and they will help you. I use Sam all the time to do Lisa's readings. And I tell you what, I can read Lisa's readings like no other. Like I can give her a reading and she will be like, wow. And I'll be like, yeah, Sam kind of helped me out. And he does. All I do is ask him before I do
Yeah,
the reading.
you always
So you could
ask.
do that too,
It's kind of like
before you
angels.
do
You
the
ask.
reading.
Yeah,
Yeah, hey, spirit guides, can you help me with this? And da 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 da. And just start there
yeah,
and see where it continues to grow.
exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, on that note, I want to thank my sponsor, Everclear. They are kind of spirit guides in my life. Everclear is an advice app, and you can get advice from psychics and empaths to get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. Everclear.com. I'm an advisor on there as Lisa P. Leesa P. P. And I work with my spirit guides more than just as much as the tarot when I work on Everclear and when I
Yeah.
work with my local clients. And it's what's really amazing to me is that almost everybody I don't think there's anyone I've read for who wasn't like, okay, spirit guide, okay, cat spirit guide, no problem, because those two nail things. They nail things down better than I can. They can say it better than I can. And my clients love them. They're like, tell Sam and Morgana, thank you. And I love them,
Yeah,
because they're the ones who really pull through for my clients when it comes to what they need to hear and what,
exactly.
from when I can't find my words, and they'll come through and be like,
Yeah.
here's some help.
Yeah. I
So
mean, you couldn't do it without them.
I don't think I
And
could. It'd be different.
even yeah, even when I do my card readings, I still ask for help.
Yeah. Oh, and
Those.
I do want to talk about my Reiki guides. I just took Reiki 1 and
Oh,
2 in January, and part of Reiki 2 is being she does shamanic Reiki with Dr. Asui from a Dr. Asui line, and they call it a lineage in Reiki. And so she did a meditation where we met our Reiki spirit guides, and I met two. And I met first. I met Mark, Marc, and he was in the meditation. He was in a cottage. Oh yeah, I do know a spirit guide meditation. Oh, I did. I learned it in the Reiki
oh,
when I did the
bring it
Reiki. So
on.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, maybe we'll do a podcast, and I'll
Yeah,
later
because
I'll
I'm
do
not
that.
done with this.
Ah,
Like, I could talk about this all day.
okay, yeah, me too, man. Well, and
Yeah.
this what she did, it was like she guided us into the lower world of shamanism. And in there I met Mark he was in a big field on the other side of the mountain that we went through. And he was in a house, like a ranch style house. It was real cluttered, and he was eating a potato, and I can't remember something else with like a baked potato and something else. And I said, "Hi, are you my Reiki guy?" And he said, "I'm Mark." And he said, "I take care of you." And that's all he said at that time. And I left the cottage and I went out into grassy area of the field, and all of a sudden this big fluffy cartoon fox just pops out of nowhere. Dance, big head, little body, fluffy tail, cartoon fox. And he said his name was Carrot. And I was like, Carrot? He's orange. I mean, red fox. And
Yeah.
after the meditation and after that Reiki lesson, I practiced Reiki and Carrot. When you do Reiki, if you do with guides, at one point you say, if my Reiki guides would like to assist, please help. And Carrot stopped being a cartoon fox, and he's a fae fox, and we need to have a fae podcast. Fae, my friends, are fairies and the elementals. We'll talk about that sometime.
That sounds
But
fun.
oh yeah. But he looks, well, when we do the fae podcast, I'll talk about this some more, but a lot of the fae have just kind of these black eyes, and they're very specific. If you've seen any kind of elementals with these black eyes, and Carrot has them, and his head's really big, and he's probably about 2 feet tall, 3 feet tall, because he sits up a lot like a dog. And he has a little tiny, body, but the big fluffy tail and big head, but he has black eyes, but it's not a cartoon. It looks more like a fae. It does, and the fae move differently too. And he moves like the fae. So I think he's a fairy fox Reiki guide. And I love Carrot. Carrot's always there telling me what symbols to use when I do Reiki. I'll ask him, or he'll just suggest, and he sniffs places that need Reiki.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, you can't get better than that.
Yeah, he's so cute. He's so cute. Yeah.
I did not know that was such a thing. That is awesome.
Yeah,
that
it's
is
cool.
Really,
I love it.
Do that one day.
Yeah, we should totally do that.
Yes.
Well,
berries. I love berries.
Maybe we'll hit like end this podcast and immediately do a fairy podcast, and then I need to prepare for that. I think
fairy cards, fairy books. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. Shoot. Yeah, listeners. Okay, so listeners, I listened to you with the Runes podcast that I made, that they said what you wanted. We did protection with Akasha, and we have now done a little bit about spirit guides. And the next one I think that you had asked for was astral projection. So I'm going to get in touch with my friend Marissa, who did the Shadow Work podcast, and see if she would like to do the astral travel, because she does astral travel.
She's really good.
Yes, and now we have a fairy podcast to plan. And listeners, I just want to thank you for listening. As always, we love you. And Misty, we do. Thank you. Thank you, Misty. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I love you guys.
I love you guys. I love you. And listeners, have a wonderful time wherever you may be, morning, afternoon, evening, middle of the night, or out of time. Woo! In
the early morning.
And again, thank you for listening, and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.